Good afternoon and good day wherever you may be joining us from. Welcome to another edition of Sales TV Live. Today, we're unlearning old school hunting techniques and replacing them with AI. We're joined by Rosa Yupari, a fractional CRO and revenue architect. With over 25 years' experience in transforming telecom and SaaS teams, Rosa has led B2B industry leaders like 3M, Nokia, and Clearfield. Her hands on experience in sales leadership and consultancy has given her a unique perspective on the integration of AI in sales. Rosa, welcome.
Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you, Adam, for having me here. I am super excited to have this conversation with you both.
Excellent. So are we. Rosa, let's start by having you tell us a little bit more about you, your background, and what led you to where you are today.
Oh, I like that. So, my background, first of all, I am Latina, come from Peru, but I started as an engineer. So, that made me a very technical, very logical person. Then I moved into sales. So, I had to move a little bit more on the kind of empathetical culture, like, talking to people. And then I think overdid it, and we were talking about that. I became a hunter, but like a true hunter, right? And I loved it. It was fun. It was going out there and get the kill. But with the hunter came a little bit of the ego because I would win, beat my quotas, right? And the, you know, what mattered was results at all cost. So I wanted to get promoted to manager, and I had to pretty much learn a lot of leadership skills. I had to learn about working in teams, which is not typical from a hunter. And I made it all the way to chief revenue officer, which makes me a transform, what I call it, a reformed hunter. But now that I'm bringing AI to corporations, I realize I'm encountering a lot of kind of pushback a little bit, but not from the middle performers, but from the hunters. Because, we don't need anything except for our raw hands. And so uh, it's made me passionate to say that AI starts with the human behavior and not with a tool. And so I am so thankful that you're giving me the opportunity to have that conversation with both of you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that.
Well, that's
So
that's the right answer, isn't it, Rob? So we can just draw it to a close there.
there we go. And thank
Absolutely,
you all
you've
for joining us.
nailed it.
So, Rosa, I want to lay the foundation for today's conversation. What do you mean when you refer to old school sales tactics?
Well, the all sales school tactics is one that is driven by gut, by instinct, right? We talked about hunters. It's very instinctual. It's I am going to close next month. Why? I don't know. I just know it. I'm going to do it. And so it's very instinctual. It's very relational. So we bond quickly with our customers. And we do it with the conversation, with the way we approach, with the listening, right? And all that is the best part, like the fantastic part. But then there is the other part where the old school brings, you know what, I don't need any more training. I've been able to be successful since the way I am. The other old school is I don't need CRM because listen, I have it all in my head. I know that the customers, I know when they call, very Erin Brockovich, let me know. I don't need any paperwork, right? And then technology is for people that need technology, but we've been able to close without it, right? And the typical is I don't need a manager. I don't need technology. I don't need to be writing reports. I'm bringing you results, and that should be enough. And so every old school is bringing results, but not being able to adapt to the new organizations, new technology, new everything. So, but it works. So, kind of hard to debate with that, right?
Yeah, well, see, that was my next question, really. It works. So, why should I replace what's working and instead leverage AI?
Right. That is the key question. So one of the things that I learned, it was hard for me to answer that question before, but I started to implement AI techniques in different companies. And I discovered something very interesting, Rob. And it was that the ones that adopted AI were able to elevate their sales skills, right? The middle performers, the kind of what we call, I don't know if it's still allowed to be called, but like the farmers, the good collaborators, the team players, right? They were able to really elevate their skills by using AI because they use the AI to take care of all the menial tasks that they had to do. And they were able to improve the skills that the hunters have. But here's the key. Now the hunters, which were top of the line, right? Now they're going to have to compete with this middle of the road players that are using AI to their advantage. And what I'm saying is, if you would only use AI as a hunter, I think it would be unbeatable. I mean, it's like, imagine the lone wolf, not against the machine, but with the machine. I mean, I don't know if you can picture that in your head. It's like, wow, I don't even want to be in front of that team, right? And so that's just what I say. And they're like, tell me more about that. And so they finally, I feel like I've picked a little bit of an interest in them.
I think what you said at the beginning of that was really interesting. That I'm a lone wolf. I'm a hunter. I go out. I'm making my number. What else have you? You can't really criticize that. Well, I'm making my number today,
Right.
but it's like what's going to happen to tomorrow. And one of the things that I thought again was really interesting about what you said was that AI should be there to support the menial tasks, the tasks that you don't want to do or you don't have time to do, or the repetitive tasks. And certainly I think that one of the things that we see, not necessarily in our work, but when we look out across the marketplace, what we see is that AI is seen as some kind of magic wand that you wave. We're going to get AI and it's going to turn it on and it's going to deliver a constant stream of quality leads. And then all of these people are going to be buying and the phone will start ringing and I won't need a sales team anymore. I'm just going to need some order takers. And that's a dream that is so far away from reality, because I think what people forget is that sales is still a very personal thing. Why are you going to listen to me when I speak? Because you like me. Why are you going to like me? Because I've invested time in you. And this idea that the AI is going to go out there and do all the work and I'm just going to pick up the phone and go, so you're interested in buying, is delusional behavior, isn't it?
Very delusional behavior. And I'm glad you say that, because one of the things that I comment in my talk is that, if people ask me, are the salespeople going to be here 5 years from now or 10 years from now? When you're thinking 2034, like I can't even imagine what 2034 is going to bring, because I remember the difference between 2014 to 2024. It was huge. It's almost scary to think about what 2034 is going to bring. But one of the things I say is probably a lot faster than that. If you're a salesperson that are a price seller, a transactional, a person, here's the feature, here's the price, thank you for the order situation. The ones that believe they're sales, but they really product sells itself, situation, they are going to disappear.
Yeah.
Because an AI, they can ask better questions. They can pull up more technical information. They can match the need a lot better. They work 24/7. And guess what? They are not afraid of losing the sale. So they're probably going to be giving less discounts, because there is something very typical of that transactional salesperson, is that they come back, hey, can we give a 10% discount? Hey, can we give a 20% discount? I hated having them in my team. I was like, no, I can't have one of those, because they're constantly calling you to get a discount, right? And so AI is not going to be like, oh, you got me, right? So I do believe they're going to be disappearing. and they're going to be disappearing not in 2034, but a lot earlier than that. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
if you're selling based on the things that are written in the book, AI can read it better and faster than you can. And, you know, it knows what the baseline is, and, you know, it can negotiate all of that stuff. And I think what we see as being really interesting in this space is that there is still this, and this is a terrible cliche, but everybody wants to do the minimum amount of work they possibly can to get the result.
Yeah.
And all of us hope that this next advert, campaign, event, post, whatever it is that we're going to do, is going to go viral, and everyone's going to be talking about us, and the phone will start ringing. And what we know is that it doesn't matter if it goes viral, the phone won't start ringing, because life doesn't work that way. It's not that easy. So it boils down, and we see this proven time and time again. It boils down to the fact that people buy people. So if I don't like you, you're just talking, and all of your competitors are just talking, and I'm not listening. And even if I do happen to listen, I'm not believing. And it's a big shift, isn't it, to actually making it a relationship that you're building rather than a sale. And then the sale comes naturally as a result of that.
Right. So when I have these conversations with salespeople at the beginning, I said, just for the hunters especially, I said, you have 5 old habits that you need to get rid of, right? I said, just those 5. Then you're good to go. As a matter of fact, I say, these are the 5 old habits that you need to get rid of. And to the middle sellers these are the 5 things that hunters do that you should match or do better at, right? And when you say there's just 5 things, people are like, okay, give me those 5 and I can handle 5. Because when you say AI, it's like, wow, what is AI? Like the world, right? Like, can AI cook me dinner? I'm like, but when you just say 5 things, people are like, okay, I can handle that. So there are 5 things, and I wonder if you guys agree with me on this one. But the first one is to be able to listen to what the customer says is very difficult for everybody. I don't care how good you are, right? Because nowadays we get so distracted by things. I bet you're already thinking about something else while I'm talking, because that's what happens, right? So even if you want to hear every single word that the customer says, you really can't, even for the hunters. So what I've learned is that just by using a framework, not just any recording analyzer, but if you use a framework and download your recording and say, tell me what the pain of the customer was, tell me how the sentiment was, tell me, did I gather what was the emotional impact of my product on them, of my pitch, what was the rational impact, what was important for them. You download that framework and you ask this from the transcripts, and it tells you exactly what the customer said. And what I found out is that when I ask, because I've done this several times, when I ask salesperson, so what did you learn from the call? They tell me something. And then I said, actually, this is what the customer said. And there is a gap. There is a gap that I've noticed there. The gap is bigger on the middle salesperson, right? Because the hunter is a little bit more attuned to that connection, to that neural coupling, right? But that alone, if you give this to the hunter, if you tell the hunter, listen, these were the feeling tone words that the customer used, they can be unstoppable, because now they're like, I'm going to use that. And they know how to use it, right? So you're just sharpening them. Like they're using it as a tool to just sharpen what they already have innate. So I think like that, I know people are like, oh yeah, recording, but learning how to use it, they come back and they were like, you know what? I never really thought about that. So that was one of the big difference that they understood about, something AI can do. What do you guys think?
I'm just wondering what else you're using AI for. How is AI helping the salespeople? Because I heard you say it's still about relationships. The AI is working on the mundane. How are you incorporating AI?
So, for example, on these recordings, right? Once you learn the tone words are the words that the customer uses to express their pain, right? If you give this to a salesperson that knows how to use this, they're going to be able to use this in all their messaging, all their conversation, all their executive summaries, all their proposals. And that is not that AI is doing their work, but they're analyzing and making it, giving them information that they can use. So it's about the data that they can use. Data, people think data is numbers. People are like, especially salespeople, like, I don't want to do data. I don't know data. But data is, hey, use these 3 words and it will resonate with the customer. The other thing that I always push on AI is once you have these generic pitches, they have to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like your one size fits all pitch, that has to disappear because people are looking for that relation, right? We talked about what is the hunter good at? It's like, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to tell you what you feel and how I'm going to make it better for you. And you're going to trust me. That thing that the hunters do is very intuitive. But can you imagine if you give them data and they can do the same? But now it's not intuitive. Now it's the combination of intuition with, hey, this is what the pain says, and this is what you ask the same questions. What's your pain? What's your impact? What's your time? What's your urgency? Now your pitch is completely driven or written around the words that you heard from the customer.
I think that's really, really powerful because anyone that's been in sales knows that there's a difference between a fun meeting and a good meeting. So a fun meeting is, yeah, I really got on well with Rosa. We certainly had a rapport and there was some chemistry there. She's definitely going to buy from me. And a good meeting is, I had a meeting with Rosa. It went really well. These are the next steps and she's going to buy on this date. And I think that one of the problems, because we're all human, one of the problems is that the chemistry that there is in the meeting is not necessarily a good barometer for whether or not the customer is ready to buy or wants to buy your product. And the nice thing, and you referenced this earlier with AI in the transactional type sale, the thing with AI is that it's not emotional about this stuff.
Mm-mm.
So it can say, this is what you heard, this is what they actually said, this is what you think the message was, this was the actual message. And actually, if you lean towards that and you gravitate to here's what the message is, you can then take action to work with that, can't you? Rather than work with your own biases or preconceptions.
That is exactly what I say. We all have narratives because we all lived a life, right? And we all want to sell. So we transform what the customer says. And I don't know why I do it, because sometimes when people say that the customer said is completely different, sometimes I don't know if you had the experience that you walk out of a meeting and you're with marketing or you're with technical support or whatever. You 3 come out of the meeting and I'll be like, okay, we didn't get that sales. And Mark is like, you kidding me? They were shaking their head. They were smiling. They were like asking questions. And I'm like, that's not it. And so the 3 of us had a completely different opinion about what the customer was going to do in the same meeting. And it used to frustrate the heck out of me. But now with AI, there is like a very objective, not even opinion, is like, this is what's happened, right?
It reminds me of the old adage, there are 3 sides to every story, yours, mine, and the truth.
Absolutely.
That is true. And when you present this to the salespeople, right? Like, this is what you said, like, and they're like, it's like this light bulb hits them, and they're like, okay, so this is what we need to do. And so they're their attitude changes, their strategy changes. You can see how suddenly they can see a clear path of what are the next steps, like you're saying. That for a salesperson, for a hunter, that's again, there is less opportunity to make a mistake. Let's put it this way.
So, leveraging AI in this context, how will AI change the role of sales managers?
Oh, I like that. I tell you, that is one of the biggest changes I'm going to see. So, Rob, have you ever been in sales and then your manager calls you for your one on one and your manager says, I know you're laughing, right? You're like, so how are the week? Good. How is that sale? Hey, how is that sale with this customer? Yeah, good. When are they going to close? I think they're going to close next month. How do you know? Yeah, I talked to them. They're going to close the month. Good, good, good. What else? What other problems you have? No, everything is good. Okay, good. We'll see you next week. That is your typical one on one. You come out thinking, worthless 1 hour. Come on, right? And because they're asking you the same questions, they can look at the CRM, but wait, the CRM is not good because the hunter didn't fill out the CRM. And so they ask you the same questions 3 times. One in the one-on-one, one in the pipeline review, and then another one to tell you why you haven't gotten the CRM. So the managers are completely in the dark because you don't tell them anything during the one-on-one. They can't rely on CRM, right? And now they have to create a message to their superiors. And so they're constantly stressed out. But now with AI, it's very good. I actually talked to one of them yesterday and I run reports. We call them, I use a lot of the SPICE methodology. So I run a lot of the SPICE reports in 4 different scripts from 4 different countries. And I said, this is a diagnosis of how your salesperson are running sales calls. And I said, they didn't ask the sales. They weren't prepared. They did the power. Okay, they found the pain. This guy only does emotional. It was so easy to analyze and diagnose. And the sales manager says, oh my gosh, I need to talk to them about being able to ask the right urgency questions, critical event, compelling events. And now they actually are using data to help the salesperson to work on the skills that they need to work on instead of just, what's up? What are you doing? Why haven't you sold? You need to sell more. And that is so, I have to think that the only time I've seen a one-on-one using data is saying, hey, you're 50% short in your month. What are you going to do? I'm going to sell more. Okay, good. Great conversation. Bye. That's the only time I heard data. I mean, do you guys agree or what?
Actually, I've heard data in these reviews in terms of quantity, but never quality.
Mm-hmm.
For example, oh, you made an average of 50 calls a day, but we're looking for 80 calls a day. Quantity. But that did not in any way evaluate the quality. If I could make 20 calls a day, but it resulted in 20 meetings, isn't that much better? But we haven't had the ability to measure the quality of those contacts. And now we do.
Now we do.
Rosa, just like that, we're out of time.
What?
I
I
know.
told you this was going to be a problem, Adam. Didn't we said this before?
This has been great. How can people learn more about you? Where can they get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn at Rosa Yupari, or I have a website, www.rosayupari.com, and Yupari spells Y-U-P as in Peter, A-R-I. So rosayupari.com. And you can contact me through there, or rosa at rosayupari.com.
Excellent. Thank you. We now have a newsletter. Don't miss an episode. Get show highlights, beyond the show insights, and reminders of upcoming episodes. You can scan the QR code on screen or visit us at SalesTV.live and click on newsletter. This has been another edition of Sales TV Live. On behalf of the panelists and everyone at Sales TV, To our guest, Rosa, to our audience, thank you all for being an active part of today's conversation, and we'll see you next time.